Welcome to CrimeBot Chronicles, your go-to channel for gripping crime mysteries, untold truths, and real-life documentaries. They say strong families build strong societies, but what happens when a family is broken and loveless? Often, it leads to broken individuals, and ultimately, a fractured community. Parents, remember, love and attention are some of the greatest gifts you can give your children. While the families of victims carry unimaginable pain, the families of suspects often suffer in silence too. Today, we present a chilling feature, Inside the Mind of Jeffrey Dahmer, a Serial Killer. Sit back, watch, and immerse yourself in this powerful documentary. If you find value in what we do, please support us by subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing this video. It helps us continue telling these important stories. Now, let's begin. The lights were dim in that small interview room at Columbia Correctional Institution. The air smelled stale, like old sweat and cheap cleaning supplies. There was a hum in the walls, maybe from the fluorescent lights above, maybe from something deeper, something crawling beneath the surface. The door creaked open, and in walked the man himself. Tall, pale, and eerily calm. Jeffrey Dahmer. You wouldn't think, just by looking at him, that this guy was a monster. He didn't growl. He didn't have bloodshot eyes or a twitchy vibe. Nah, he looked like someone's awkward coworker. Shy, soft-spoken, maybe a little weird at parties. But underneath that quiet voice was a mind twisted into something dark, something unspeakable. I sat down across from him, a steel table between us. My recorder was rolling. He leaned forward slightly, almost polite, like we were about to discuss the weather. "Why'd you do it, Jeff?" I asked straight out the gate. He looked at me for a second, like he was surprised I didn't warm up first. But then he blinked slow, looked down at his cuffed hands, and said, "It wasn't about hate. I wasn't angry. It was something else. Something else." That's the part that haunts me. He didn't kill out of rage. He killed out of hunger, some twisted, emotional starvation he never understood. "Was there ever a moment you wanted to stop?" I asked. He nodded. Every time. Afterward. He spoke like someone talking about a nasty habit, like biting your nails too deep or drinking too much. But the habit was luring men, drugging them, and doing things so evil it made seasoned cops sick. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer grew up in Bath, Ohio. Typical suburban upbringing. You hear that a lot in serial killer stories, right? He seemed so normal. But in Jeff's case, the cracks started early. Dead animals. Fascination with bones. He told me about finding roadkill as a kid and picking it apart just to see what was inside. Like he was dissecting his own emptiness. He leaned back in the metal chair. "People think I was evil. I get it. But it wasn't like I wanted to be this way. I tried to stop. I even prayed once. But it's like there was a black hole inside me, and I kept feeding it." I couldn't help but shudder. Not at his words, but at how damn sincere he sounded. At 18, Jeff committed his first murder. Stephen Hicks. Picked him up hitchhiking, brought him home for a few beers. Then bam, sledgehammer to the back of the head. Just like that. "I didn't plan to kill him," Jeff said, staring at the floor. "But when he wanted to leave, I couldn't let him." You know how most killers have that one breaking point? A moment where everything snaps? With Dahmer, it was like slow rot. Years passed between his first murder and his second, but when he got back in the game, it was a full-on storm. Milwaukee, 1991. That's when the name Jeffrey Dahmer hit the news like a brick to the face. Cops found body parts in his fridge, in the freezer, in acid barrels. Skulls on shelves. Polaroids of victims posed like grotesque dolls. One officer said it was like stepping into hell, and hell had Tupperware. I asked him about that night. The night Tracy Edwards escaped. "Tracy was supposed to be like the others," Jeff said quietly. "But something in me was tired. Sloppy. I didn't even lock the cuffs right. When he ran, I didn't even chase him. I think, maybe I wanted it to be over." You ever meet someone who smiles at the worst time? He did that, gave a small, broken smile when he said he wanted it to end. Like he was relieved the mask had fallen off. We talked about the trial. How his own father sat in court, watching in disbelief. The betrayal in Lionel Dahmer's eyes was something Jeffrey said he still saw in his dreams. "He loved me," Jeff said, "and I destroyed that love." It wasn't just the victims who suffered. It was their families, their communities, whole neighborhoods in Milwaukee that felt like they'd been targeted. And they had a point. Most of Jeff's victims were young gay men of color. Black, Latino, Asian. And let's be real, the police didn't exactly throw their backs into those missing persons cases. One story still hits like a gut punch. Conorak Synthosomephone escaped Dahmer's apartment, naked and bleeding. Ran into the street. Neighbors called the cops. But when Jeff showed up and told them it was just a lover spat, the cops handed him right back. He was dead within the hour. I brought that up. Jeff winced. "I deserve to die for that," he whispered. Some people say he felt remorse. Others say he was just playing the system, trying to avoid the death penalty. But sitting across from him, I didn't see a man fighting for his life. I saw someone who had already lost it. "I wasn't insane," he said. "I knew what I was doing. I just didn't know how to stop." That's what keeps me up at night. The clarity. The self-awareness. He wasn't foaming at the mouth or ranting about demons. He was just broken, and he knew it. Jeffrey talked about the fantasies. How they started in his teens. Control. Dominance. Turning people into living mannequins. "I didn't want them to leave," he said. "If I could make them stay, that was love to me." Twisted as hell, right? But he truly believed that. His version of love was death. Stillness. Silence. And when they screamed, it shattered the illusion. He didn't want partners. He wanted puppets. "I tried to create zombies," he admitted. "Drilled holes in their heads. Poured in acid. Thought I could keep them alive, compliant. It never worked. They died screaming. I sat frozen, stomach churning. This wasn't a horror movie. This was real. This was the mind of a man who'd blurred the line between love and murder so badly, even he couldn't find it anymore. He told me about the smell. How it clung to everything. Neighbors complained. Some say they called the cops, but nobody listened. Maybe if they had, a few of those boys would still be alive. But Jeff kept going. 17 victims. From 1978 to 1991. 17 lives stolen, mutilated, discarded. All for what? A fleeting sense of control? "I thought if I had enough of them, I'd feel whole," he said. But it was like trying to fill a leaking bucket with blood. Even in prison, he wasn't safe. Not from others, not from himself. He claimed to find God. Got baptized. Some people bought it. Others said it was just another act. One last mask. But then came Christopher Scarver. In 1994, Scarver, a fellow inmate, bludgeoned Dahmer to death with a metal bar in the prison gym. "Do you think you deserve that?" I asked, watching his expression. Jeff looked me dead in the eyes. "Yes." That was it. No hesitation. No tears. Just yes. He told me he used to dream about his victims. Sometimes they spoke to him. Sometimes they just stared. They never screamed, he said. Not in the dreams. Just watched. I asked him what he'd say to them now if he could. He hesitated. Then whispered, "I'm sorry." Was it real? Was it enough? Hell no. 17 families will never get their sons, their brothers, their lovers back. A whole city will never forget the fear he planted like a weed. But as I left that room, one thing became clear. Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't a monster from birth. He was made, shaped by neglect, warped fantasies, unchecked urges, and the failure of every system that could have stopped him. And in the end, he wasn't proud. He wasn't laughing. He was just empty. You want to know what lives inside the mind of Jeffrey Dahmer? It's not fire. It's not rage. It's a void. A deep, cold silence that echoes with every life he took. And maybe, just maybe, in that silence, he finally heard them. If you enjoyed this chilling true crime story, don't forget to join the CrimeBot Chronicles family. There's plenty more true crime stories, mystery and suspense waiting for you. Stay curious and stay safe. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chilling case. Comment your thought, Share this story to keep others aware. Evil often hides behind a smile.